Hello there, and welcome to Arcadia Founder. My name is Zach, the founder of Arcadia, and today we're going to be talking about Arcadia's leadership engine. This video is going to be a deep dive into how this fictional civic model balances power, decentralizes authority, and builds resilience through systems, not personalities. In the next few minutes, we'll explore the Civic Arbiter, the structure of Arcadia's three branches, and how public oversight, internal election, and real-time accountability weave together to form a radically different version of leadership. Think of this as a civic operating system, not a government as we know it, but one designed to be trusted, even when leaders fail. In most government, power rises to the top, whether that's a prime minister, president, or ruling party. Arcadia flips this on its head. Power here circulates. It moves through structured systems, civic review, and feedback loops. Authority is not a reward for ambition, it's a role held under constant review. This isn't about direct democracy in the populist sense. It's about structural democracy, where every office, every mandate, every leader is part of a network, not a hierarchy. As you can see here, with the doesn't concentrate, it circulates, we have the mandates, which then goes back to the citizens, which then goes to the branches. So the citizens propose things through the mandates, and then the mandates filter through and then go to the Civic Arbiter, and the Civic Arbiter then sends them to the branches to make sure that at least 75% of the mandate is completed by the time the next mandate rolls around. And now, let's start off with a quick little story. It started quietly, with a line of code. The Civic Chancellor just authorized an update to Arcadia's civic credit algorithm. On paper, it looked like a small optimization, but inside the code, one line tipped the balance. Corporate-affiliated inventors would now receive triple the civic credit bonus of independent creators. No CivicNet simulation, no public mandate deliberation, just a unilateral tweak with massive structural impact. Within hours, the public reacted and CivicNet lit up. Researchers, educators, and cooperative creators saw their contributions downgraded in real time. Threads erupted. Protest simulations trended across all dashboards. The Civic Arbiter launched a Tier 2 feasibility review. It failed, not just on equity, but on structural integrity. When the Chancellor refused to retract the change, the Arbiter did what Arcadian law empowers them to do. They posted a formal warning and opened a public trust vote. Civic approval dropped below 55%. This is below the constitutional threshold. With 68% public support, the Arbiter triggered removal proceedings. A tribunal convened, structural breach confirmed, and the Chancellor was dismissed. By process, not partisanship. Within a week, a new Civic Chancellor was chosen from the pool of publicly elected regional governors. The policy was restructured, civic credit equity restored. No protests, no collapse, no chaos. Well, of course there's a little bit of chaos, but that comes with the system. In Arcadia, leadership isn't permanent. Power doesn't override process, and the system protects itself because it was built to. The Civic Arbiter is Arcadia's most critical institution, and it's most easily misunderstood. They are not a lawmaker, not a president, not a political figure in any traditional sense. They are a neutral overseer, responsible for structural integrity. The Arbiter can delay or revise mandates that might destabilize the system. They mediate disputes between branches. Most significantly, they can remove any top branch leader, but only with public approval. And if their own approval falls below 60%, a new election is triggered, and the Arbiter aides are the candidates for that election. And then the election happens, and the people decide who, among the Arbiter aides, they want to be their next Arbiter. This isn't about power, it's guardianship. Let's place the Arbiter next to two of the world's most familiar leadership roles, at least North American leadership roles. The Canadian Prime Minister rises from party leadership and leads both legislation and execution. They're political by nature. The US President is both the symbolic head and executive controller. Their role is often shaped by personal vision, party loyalty, or populist waves. But the Civic Arbiter? They don't run the state. They don't represent a party. They don't even push agendas. Their entire function is to protect the constitutional order. Where presidents and prime ministers exercise power, arbiters constrain it and filter it. Their legitimacy doesn't come from popularity, but from public trust in their neutrality and structural command. And that brings up an interesting question. How do you train someone to defend a system rather than dominate it? That is the mission of the Successor School. It's not a political academy. It's a civic forge, producing arbiter aides who study neutrality, legal structure, crisis recovery, and systemic resilience. If the arbiter loses public trust, a new vote is triggered, and citizens choose the next arbiter from these aides. This keeps the office meritocratic. No one can run for arbiter in the usual sense. They must earn their place through structural literacy and civic integrity. It's governance as stewardship, not aspiration. Arcadia isn't exactly centralized, it's layered. The Guardian Assembly operates at the national level, managing defense, disaster resilience, and system continuity. The Foundation Corps spans both national and regional levels, ensuring housing, food, and health security. The Civic Concord then operates regionally, overseeing innovation, education, and civic credit distribution. Each branch has its own command structure, its own logic. This avoids bottlenecks, prevents overreach, and aligns decision-making with proximity to the people it affects. In short, Arcadia distributes responsibility by function and geography. So, who leads these branches, and how are they chosen? The Guardian Commander is elected from top-ranking Guardian officials. Upon taking office, they can replace up to 50% of the predecessor's aides, allowing for both legitimacy and innovation. They can also completely inherit all the aides and decide not to change them at all. The Foundation Director is selected from among the regional directors and advised by a small circle of experts, either retained or newly chosen. They also get advised by their peers, the other regional directors. Regional directors are elected internally within the Foundation. The Civic Chancellor is elected from a pool of publicly elected regional governors, making it the most directly democratic branch. All three paths require structural knowledge, peer validation, and in some cases, public confirmation. Now, let's map it all together. At its center is the Civic Arbiter, connected to each branch. Mandates flow from the citizens up into the Civic Arbiter, and then through to the Guardian Assembly, Foundation Corps, and Civic Concord. Civic Arbiter ensures that bare minimum 75% of feasible mandate items are completed by the next time the civic mandate cycle rolls around. Public feedback influences feasibility. Disputes are mediated by the Arbiter. Citizens vote for governors, who elect chancellors. Internal councils elect directors and commanders. And above all, the Arbiter watching structure, not policy. This is a web, not a pyramid. It's distributed, responsive, designed to correct itself. Arcadia's safeguards don't rely on good intentions. They rely on process. Every leader is subject to annual ethical audits, monitored by citizen oversight panels, and reviewed through CivicNet's approval dashboards. Mandates are graded not just on popularity, but on structural feasibility. The Arbiter moderates Tier 2 and Tier 3 decisions to ensure nothing destabilizes the system, meaning that Tier 1 decisions, local policy changes, things that aren't that important on the national scale, those can still go through so long as the local areas ensure their feasibility. If a leader fails their stewardship review, they can be recalled. This is oversight, not as surveillance, but as shared responsibility. In Arcadia, every citizen is a structural stakeholder. Through CivicNet, they engage in mandate discussions, track leader performance, and participate in deliberative voting. Approval dashboards show real-time trust levels for both the Civic Arbiter and all other branch leaders. Deliberation tokens, or civic credits, are earned through constructive civic engagement and increase one's influence on pending policies, only slightly. And the mandate voting interface lets citizens approve, revise, or reject Tier 1, 2, and 3 proposals before they take effect. Of course, they can't reject those things outright. The only way that they can reject them or revise them is if enough voice comes together, figures it out. This isn't reactive democracy. It's civic authorship, active, visible, and continuous. Arcadia wasn't built to be efficient. It was built to be fair. Its founders don't trust personalities, they trust process. Leadership isn't about taking charge, it's about earning public trust, passing audits, and operating inside a web of deliberative constraints. The goal isn't speed, it's resilience. It's not about finding the next genius, it's about making sure even bad leaders can't break the system, because when systems work, citizens don't have to fear the government. They become it. Now that you see how Arcadia works, here's a question. What approval rating would you demand of your own leaders to make sure that they stay in office? Should power be permanent or conditional? Should structural literacy matter more than charisma? Drop your ideas in the comments. Please comment, subscribe, and critique to your heart's content. And if this video sparked anything in you, subscribe, because next time we're going to be covering Arcadia's ultimate failsafe, the Phoenix Protocol. What happens when the entire system fails, and how it comes back. This video will be the next structural explainer, which will probably be coming out next week. I thank you for your time and your presence. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.